The Book of HANOK, Astronomy, Chapter 72. The book of the courses of the lights of the Shamayim, the relations of each, according to their classes, their dominion and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Yaray, the Qodesh messenger, who was with me, who is their guide, showed me. And he showed me all their laws exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto everlasting, till the new creation is accomplished, which endures till everlasting. Okay, well that's an amazing introduction. I hope you heard that. Till the new creation is accomplished, which endures till everlasting. And this is the first law of the lights. The light, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the Shamayim, and its going down in the western portals of the Shamayim. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun goes down, and the moon rises and goes down in these portals, and the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also, many windows to the right and left of these portals. And first, there goes forth the great light, named the sun, and its circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. An amazing description of the sun. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the Shamayim and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to that portal and shines in the face of the Shamayim. And in this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th. And in that 4th portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in the Shamayim, he comes forth through that 4th portal 30 mornings in succession, and goes down exactly in the 4th portal in the west of the Shamayim. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter, to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by a 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from the 4th portal and goes down in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it and goes down in the 5th portal. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter, and amounts to 7 parts. And it returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises and goes down in the 6th portal 31 mornings on account of its sign. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal and rises from it and goes down 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west and goes to the east and rises in the 6th portal for 30 mornings and goes down in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. Hope you're catching this. And the sun goes forth from that fifth portal and goes down in the sixth port, from that fifth portal of the west, and rises in the fourth portal for 31 mornings on account of its sign, and goes down in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the sun rises from the west and returns to the east and rises 30 mornings in the third portal and goes down in the west in the third portal. And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day, till the 13th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts, and the sun rises from that third portal and goes down in the third portal in the west and returns to the east, and the 30 mornings rises in the second portal in the east, and in the same way goes down in the second portal in the west of the Shamayim. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the second portal and goes down in the west in the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 31 mornings, and goes down in the first portal in the west of the Shamayim. And on that day the night becomes longer and amounts to the double of the day, and the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. And the sun has traversed the divisions of its orbit and turns again on those divisions of its orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings and goes down into the west opposite to it. And on that night the night has decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts, and the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and returns on those its divisions of its orbit for 30 mornings, rising and going down. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and goes down in the west and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 31 mornings and goes down in the west of the Shamayim. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 portal parts. It gets very tongue-twisting. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days 364. Remember, that's what divine revelation tells us, or told us then. 364 days in your year, and the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise. Through the course of the sun they are separated. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law of the course of the sun, and its return as often as returns 60 times, and rises the great light, which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which rises is the great light, and is so named according to its appearance, according as Yushua commanded. As he rises, so he goes down, and does not decrease, and does not rest, but runs day and night, and its light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal, I will add, from our standpoint, and not all the time. Most of the time, especially in an eclipse, the moon completely covers the sun. So that's understandable. It's a perspective view. Anyway, chapter 37. And after this law, I saw another law dealing with the smaller light, which is named the moon, and her circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and light is given to her in measure. And her rising and going down change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun, and thus she rises. And her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And the 1/2 of her goes forth by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and the half thereof. And she goes down with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the beginning of the lunar day, and the moon goes down with the sun, and is visible that night with the 14th part and the half of 1 of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a 7th part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun, and in her remaining days she becomes bright in the 13 parts. Chapter 74. And I saw another course, a law for her, how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these Yaray, the Qodesh messenger, who is the leader of them, all showed to me and their positions, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights, till 15 days were accomplished. In single 7th parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single 7th parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her going down, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon goes down with the sun. In those 2 middle portals, the 3rd and the 4th, she goes forth for 7 days, and turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th portal, from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the 4th portal, she goes forth 7 days, until she goes forth from the 5th and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days, and she returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal, from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their position, how the moon rose and the sun went down in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an excess of 30 days, and all the days which increase to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. Ooh, interesting bit of maths. And the excess of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year comes to 30 days. And the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto everlasting, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. To the sum, there is 5 to be added and 62 days. Okay. And in 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon the days 6 in 8 years amount to 2,832 days. For in 8 years she falls behind to the amount of 8 days. All the 17 days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. Oh my goodness me, that was so difficult to say. Thank you for listening. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which it rises and goes down 30 days. End of chapter 74. Chapter 75. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands, who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars, have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office according to the reckoning of the year, and these render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. And owing to them men go astray therein, and those lights truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the Shamayim, one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal, and the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. And the signs, and the times, and the years, and the days, the messenger Yaray showed to me, whom Yushua of esteem has appointed forever, over all the lights of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the Shamayim, and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and the night, the sun, moon, and stars, and all the ministering beings which make their revolution in all the chariots of the Shamayim. In the same way 12 doors Yaray showed me open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the Shamayim, through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth when they are opened in their appointed times. And for the winds and the spirit of the dew, when they are opened, standing open in the Shamayim at the ends. As for the 12 portals in the Shamayim, at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of the Shamayim in the east and in the west, there are many windows open to the left and the right of them, and one window at its appointed time produces warmth corresponding to those doors, from which the stars come forth according as has commanded them, and wherein they are placed corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in the Shamayim running in the world above those portals in which revolve the stars that never go down, and one is larger than all the rest, and it is that which makes its course through the entire world. Ooh, chapter 76. And at the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the Shamayim, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of the Shamayim, and 3 on the left. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3 after those on the left of the south, and 3 of the west. Through 4 of these come winds of berekoth, blessings, and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds when they are sent. Ooh. They bring destruction on all the earth, and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell upon it, and on all which are in the water, and on the land. And the first wind from those portals called the east wind comes forth through the first which is in the east, inclining toward the south. From it comes forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting, and from it there comes rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. And through the third portal, which lies toward the north, comes cold and drought. And after these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth a hot wind, and through the middle portal next to it there come forth fragrant smells, and dew and rain and prosperity and health. And through the third portal lying to the west come forth dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And after these the north winds from the 7th portal in the east come dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direct direction health and rain, and dew and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud and frost, and snow and rain, and dew and locusts. And after these are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew and frost and cold and snow and ice. And from the middle portal come forth dew and rain and prosperity and berekoth, blessings. And through the last portal, which adjoins the south, comes forth drought and destruction and burning and destruction. Drought and desolation, and burning and destruction. And this is amazing. And the 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the Shamayim are completed, and all their laws, and all their plagues, and all their goodness have I shown to you, my son, Methuselah. Chapter 77. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second the south, because the Most High will descend there. Even there, in quite a special sense, will he who is Baruch forever descend. Wow. And the west quarter is named the diminished, because there all the lights of the Shamayim diminish and go down. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, the second contains seas of water, and the abyss and forests and rivers and darkness and clouds, and the third part contains the garden of righteousness. Ooh. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and from there comes forth frost and days, seasons and years pass away. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them coming from the west pours its waters into the great sea, and these 2 come from the north to the sea and pour their waters into the eastern sea in the east, and the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own sea, 2 of them to the eastern sea, and 2 into the great sea, and discharge themselves there, and some say into the desert. 7 great islands I saw in the sea, and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland, and 5 in the great sea. Chapter 78. And the names of the sun are the following: the first, Yaray, and the second, Tomar. And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Sonia, the second, Evla, the third, Benes, and the fourth, Yaray. There are 2 great lights. Their circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and the size of the circumference of both is alike. In the circumference of the sun there are 7 portions of light, which are added to it, more than to the moon, and in definite measure it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted, and they go down and enter the portals of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the Shamayim. And when the moon rises, 1/14 part appears in the Shamayim. The light becomes full in her. On the 14th day she accomplishes her light, and 15 parts of light are transferred to her till the 15th day. Her light is accomplished according to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts, and the moon grows by 14th parts, and in her diminishing decreases on the 1st day to 14 parts of her light, on the 2nd day to 13 parts of light, on the 3rd day to 12, on the 4th to 11, on the 5th to 10, on the 6th to 9, on the 7th to 8, on the 8th to 7, on the 9th to 6, on the 10th to 5, on the 11th to 4, on the 12th to 3, on the 13th to 2, on the 14th to the half of the 7th, and all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. Ooh, that's nice. And in certain months, the month has 29 days, and once 28, and Uriel showed me another law, when light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun. Ooh. During all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself when opposite the sun. Yes, during 14 days, her light is accomplished in the Shamayim, and when she is illuminated throughout, her light is accomplished full in the Shamayim. And on the first day, she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full exactly in the day, when the sun goes down in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines in the whole night, and the moon shines the whole night through till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side where the light of the moon comes forth, there again she diminishes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. And 3 months she makes of 30 days. And 3 months she makes of 30 days, and at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each, and in which she accomplishes her diminishing in the first period of time, and in the first portal for 177 days. And in the time of her going out, she appears for 3 months, 30 days each, and for 3 months she appears 29 each. At night she appears like a man for 20 days each time. And by day she appears like the Shamayim, and there is none else in her save her light. Chapter 79. And now, my son, I have shown you all matters, and the law of all the stars of the Shamayim is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week, and the diminishing of the moon which takes place in the 6th portal, for in this 6th portal her light is accomplished, and after that there is the beginning of the diminishing, which takes place in the 1st portal in its season, till 177 days are accomplished, reckoned according to weeks, 25 and 2 days. She falls behind the sun and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period, and when this place which you see has been traversed. Such is the picture and sketch of every light which Yaray, the chief messenger, who is their leader, showed to me. Chapter 80. And in those days the messenger Yaray answered and said to me, See, I have shown you all matters, HANOK, and I have revealed all to you, that you should see the sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the Shamayim, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures. And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened, that's our days, people, and their seed shall be late on their lands and fields, and all the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the Shamayim shall withhold signs. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time, and the fruits of the trees shall be withered in their time. And the moon shall alter her order, and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accordance with the order of light. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. Ooh. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. Also they shall go astray, and take them to be mighty ones. Wow. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as to destroy all. Okay, chapter 81. And he said to me, Observe, HANOK. If I was HANOK, I'd be quaking in my boots by now, really. This is amazing. Anyway, chapter 81. And he said to me, Observe, HANOK, these tablets of the Shamayim, and read what is written upon them, and mark every individual fact. And I observed the tablets of the Shamayim, and read all which was written, and understood all matters, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, oh my goodness me, and all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth, to the remotest generations. And immediately I barak the great Adon, be on my knees by now, I barak the great Adon, the sovereign of esteem forever, in that he has made all the works of the world, and I exalted Yahuwah because of his patience, and barak him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Baruch is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, please Father, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. That's the records. And those 7 Qodeshim brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare all matters to your son Methuselah, and show to all your children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of Yahuwah, for he is their creator. So I'd like to say, if you think you're righteous, stop and think again. Again, no flesh is righteous in the sight of Yahuwah, for he is their creator. 1 year we will leave you with your son, till you give your commands, that you may teach your children, and record for them, and witness to all your children, and in the 2nd year they shall take you from their midst. Let your heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, and shall offer congratulations to one another. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the backslider go down with the backslider. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on account of the doings of the wicked. Pardon me. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people giving berekoth to the Adon of the world. Chapter 82. And now, my son Methuselah, all these I am recounting to you and writing down for you, and I have revealed to you all matters, what a father, and given you books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from your father's hand, and deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to you, and to your children, and your children that shall be unto you, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom that passes their thought. And to think this is all that's left, this tiny little book. This wisdom that passes their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, too right, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat of it better than good food, like a feast, please. That's my bit input anyway. Verse 4, Baruch are all the righteous, Baruch are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and do not sin as the sinners in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the Shamayim, entering into the departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 which are inserted or added to, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Also men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately. For they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are truly recorded forever. 1 in the 1st portal, and 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th. And the year is completed in 364 days, and the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact, for the lights of the months and festivals and years and days has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Adon of the whole creation of the world has subjected the host of the Shamayim. And he has power over the night and the day in the Shamayim, to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the Shamayim which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars which go down in their places, and in the appointed times and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter in their times, and in orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. These 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days, the 4 added days, there are the leaders which divide the 4 parts of the year, and these heads over thousands are intercalated between leaders and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Malkiel, Alamelech, and Melechyael, and Nerael. And the names of those who lead them: Adnarael, and Yasusael, and Elomeel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow these leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melechyael rises first and rules, who is named Tamaini and Shemesh. And all the days of his dominion, whilst he bears rule, are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms. And all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berakiel, Zelevsel, and another who is added, a head of 1,000, called Hiluyasef. And the days of the dominion of this are at an end. The next leader after him is Helemelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days on the earth: growing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits, and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and all that is in the fields and the winepress. These take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names of the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gedaliah, Keel, and Hiel. And the name of the head of a thousand, which is added to them, Asphael. And the days of his dominion are at an end. Now, that's so dramatic. That's the end of it. That's the end of astronomy. We're on dreams next. And really, I can't believe what I've just heard. I'm going to have to read that over and over again. I hope you listen to this more times than once, because there's so much information in there, and if you do the math, it's quite amazing. If you try to paint it, it really doesn't work well. I haven't got enough dimensions. Anyway, thank you for listening to me, and thank you for enjoying this book. It's wonderful. And I wish you many blessings, and I hope you bless each other and bless our Father every day for everything that he teaches us. Through Yushua in Yahuwah. Many berekoth to all of you. Much ahav. Shalom. I'll see you soon for dreams. Abba willing.